So now let's talk about some more advanced ways to take single targets on a specific trading strategy. Single targets can be more beneficial than multiple targets for multiple different reasons, most of which have to do with the ease of your trading process and how much more simple it is to just be taking one target. If this being the case, you don't have to open two separate positions. You don't have to manage a position. It really just takes away a lot of the stress. So if you're someone who just likes your trading to be simple and easy, single targets may be the way for you to go. And what we'll do first is go ahead and discuss my favorite way to take single targets. A lot of people take single targets based around structure, Fibonacci levels, or a set risk to reward ratio, very similar to the way we talked about taking the second part of our position off during the multiple target videos. And one of my favorite ways to actually take single targets, if I'm going to be looking for a more advanced way of taking single targets than giving myself a one-to-one risk reward, is going to be by using a set risk reward ratio. Just like we talked about with multiple targets, what I like to do is instead of having a one-to-one risk reward on that first position, especially considering it's our only position when trading with one target, is take that and move it to either a 1.2, a 1.5, or a 1.8 risk reward. Now, according to the testing and trading I've done with these three, they are the most beneficial. And the reason there's three different ones is because with a 1.8 risk reward, your winning percentage drops dramatically, but it's still profitable because of the fact you're getting a 1.8 to 1 risk reward. Now again, do not take my word for this. Go out and test this yourself. This is on the specific pairs I trade in the specific style that I trade as well. So you'll have to test each of these if you plan to implement any of them in your trading to make sure it's beneficial for you and your trading. Again, taking a 1.8 risk reward with a set risk reward ratio decreases the winning percentage of a strategy dramatically, but having a 1.8 risk reward keeps it profitable. The reason I don't do this for the pullback strategy or other strategies is because it does add a lot of losers, and with losers comes a larger maximum drawdown. And for me personally, it's not worth it to get a little more equity return if I have to sacrifice more drawdown. So with the 1.5 to 1 risk reward, of course you have more losers than you would with a 1-to-1 risk reward, but less than you would with a 1.8, bringing that max drawdown up just a little, making that maximum drawdown just a little bit more bearable. So with a 1.5 to 1 risk reward may be worth testing if you are somewhere in between, where you're at a point that you're comfortable with the drawdown you currently have with a 1-to-1 risk reward, let's say for the pullback strategy, and you know you could withstand a little bit more and you would like a little extra return on your ROI based around that strategy, then testing that with a 1.5 risk reward may be beneficial for you and your trading. Now, another number we discussed with a 1.2 risk reward, this gives you the smallest amount of drawdown after a 1-to-1 risk reward, but will give you a little more of a drawdown along with a little less of a winning percentage. But again, it gets canceled out by that extra amount of risk to reward ratio. So this is my favorite way to implement advanced target taking on just having one position open, is using a set risk to reward ratio. Now, other ways we could do this is by taking targets at previous levels of structure. For instance, our previous support level here. But as you can see, that gives us a 0.95 risk to reward. And right here, guys, is where you can see that risk to reward. I didn't point that out before, but that's how you can tell where your risk to reward is by looking right here in the middle of the position tool we use on TradingView. But as you can tell here, if we would have taken targets off at the previous level of structure, we would have had less than a 1-to-1 risk reward. So a rule that I would implement in this case is I take targets at any level of structure that gives me more than a 1-to-1 risk reward. So this level would not be a good level in that case if you wanted to use structure-based targets for your single targets trades and your single target strategies. You would be looking to take targets off at the next significant level of structure that gives you more than a 1-to-1 risk reward. That looks to be right in here. So this level right here would be the next level of structure that we would look at, and that would be where we would place targets for this trade. Again, as you can see, this giving us a 1.2 risk reward. And the other advanced way to take single targets would be the same as we discussed with multiple targets, using a Fibonacci extension tool from our previous swing high to swing low back up, and looking either at the 127, the 1414, or even the 1.618 for that second target. And again, guys, going from the 1.27 to the 1.41 to the 1.618 is going to give you less and less of a winning percentage. That's something you have to keep in mind at any point that you change the way you take targets. If you give yourself more than a 1-to-1 risk reward, then you're going to be sacrificing winning percentage. You're going to be adding to your drawdown, but more than likely you will end up increasing that profit potential by increasing the risk to reward. It is true what they say, that a higher risk to reward ratio gives you a better profit potential, but what they fail to mention most of the time is the fact that getting that higher than 1-to-1 risk reward comes with a big sacrifice of winning percentage and a much higher drawdown most of the time. So those are things you want to keep in mind before implementing any type of advanced target taking technique into your trading. But if you feel like this kind of target taking would be beneficial, feel free to take these techniques that we've just talked about and test them through the markets with your strategies, with the pullback strategies, along with the new advanced strategies we're going to be talking about in phase 3 of the EAP training program. So guys, that was some advanced ways to take single targets using any strategy. I'm excited to move on to our next video where we'll talk about some more advanced entry reasons using single candlestick patterns. And after that, we'll be talking about more advanced entry reasons using multiple candlesticks. So let's go ahead and move on to those videos, and I will see you guys there.